Hi, welcome to Access Styles. I'm your host, Tiger, where fashion lives. We are fashion. And on this show, we're going to talk about everything fashion in the industry. Um, I'd like to pay homage to a few people that helped me out when I started. Particularly Ed Guado. Ed, he has Maury Alligator. He's with Maury for years. Now he has his own line called Urban Legend. Also, a person, his name is Groove. He's from Chicago, and he had a store called Groove Wear that I produced like 6 fashion shows for him. And of course, the person that started me into the urban industry, as far as dealing with urban lines, Gary Jacoby. Those 3 people were very influential in me starting this, what I'm doing now. And first, I'd like to tell you about when I first started producing fashion shows in Atlanta. My first Atlanta fashion show was very exciting for me. Um, Actually, I was burning up the set. I was burning up the circuit on the underground doing fashion shows for about 2 years. And then Gary called me and he was like, Tiger, I'm putting together the Urban Cartel. I was like, Gary, what's the Urban Cartel? He was like, I'm putting together the trade show for all urban lines, and we're gonna do it at the Embassy Suites. I said, okay, okay, okay. So that weekend, I met him up there, and he was like, all the retailers that's in Atlanta, they're gonna come through here looking for clothes, and I'm gonna introduce you to them, and you might be able to find another Groove. But what I mean by that is, Groove had a store that I produce fashion shows for. So I'm looking for more clients to do more shows so I can promote more people retail stores. And lo and behold, I met Tiba and Peaches of Runway Fashions. They had a store in Stone Mountain off of South Harrison. And that was my first show. I did my first show for them. It was a big show. I did it at the Rialto Theater, downtown Atlanta. Had my name on the marquee. Show was sold out, got a standing ovation, and hence begins the fashion career for Tiger in Atlanta. So, I definitely want to give shout outs to Tiba and Peaches for what they did for me and letting me start off. And I also did the following year at the Woodruff Arts Center. I was the first, look at me now, I was the first to combine comedy, live performances, and urban fashion together in an hour and 30-minute show. And I produced over 50 fashion shows in that style. Before any of this stuff you saw on any reality show or on any national television channel, I was the beginning. And those who were there around that time know that I was the beginning. And that leads into what I'm about to ask you guys. Fashion is us. We are fashion. You fashion, I'm fashion. Fashion is the person. But I got a question about the shelf life for a clothing line. Why is it that some shelf life don't have a expiration date? They last forever. Think about it. Stuff you bought 15 years ago, would you still rock it? Grab them cross-colored jeans and put them on. Go pick out that Carl Kanai shirt and rock it. I want to know, why is the shelf life for a clothing line so short, but some are so long? And hence, I'll give you an example. Polo. Is it the name? Do you just like polo? What is it about polo that lasts forever? It don't have no expiration date. But yet, Rockaway had one, True Religion had one, Iceberg had one, Shabazz Brothers had one, Baby Fat had one. We can go on and on and on. Averex had one. Everybody had one. But Polo don't have one? Oh, Nautica don't have one? Oh, Tommy Hilfiger don't have one. Oh, I bought some Gucci's in '79. I'm rocking them right now. Why? Because they Gucci? Why is it that clothing lines, some have a expiration date and some don't have a expiration date? Some expire like a gallon of milk and some stay forever. So leave in the comments why you think that is. Because I really want to know. I want to know because we are fashion. We make the trends. And I want to know why fashion lines, some of them last and some of them don't. So I want you to put that in the comments if you're watching. And today's guest, we got a great guest today. Today, we got Cedric King, and he has a book out called The Fashion Hustle, and he's been in the game a long time. I mean, Cedric done a lot. I got a lot of respect for this man. This man has always helped me out, always supported me and my endeavors to produce good fashion shows. He's always been a straight up guy, and I'm honored to have him on the show. And we're going to talk in detail about what he got going on. As you can see, this is his book. It's called The Fashion Hustle. You know, it is it's for students to learn everything about the fashion industry while they're in middle school, while they're in high school. This is giving them an up on the game. Before they get out into the world and they start getting beat up by the world, they get to learn by a professional. So, you know, once again, thank you for tuning in to Access Styles. And we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to have the interview with Cedric. So thank you for watching Access Styles. We'll be back after these messages. Welcome back to Access Styles. I'm your host, Tiger, and we're about to go into our interview with a good friend of mine that I met early in my fashion producing career. His name is Cedric King, so we can bring him on in. How you doing, Cedric?
What's up, bro?
Nice to see you, man.
You too, bro.
It's an honor to have you on the show.
Man, good to be with you.
We're going to talk about his book, The Fashion Hustle, but first I want to talk to him about just the industry and how did you start off, man?
Yeah, so, you know, I kind of got my start, man, like at an early age, like just trying to understand fashion as a black man. You know, so like growing up in high school, I always had good style. Yes. I went to the Navy. In 4 years, I still had good style. So when I got on the ship, everybody was asking me to help them dress. So then, but I didn't know it could be a career. So then when I leave the Navy, I ended up working for Oak Tree for a few years.
I remember Oak Tree.
Yeah, Oak Tree was crazy, right? It's modern day Zara and H&M.
Okay.
Think about it. We just have five for you buy a suit, you get two suits free.
Yeah.
You remember that whole you had Jeans West, merry-go-round, and all that. So it's the same formula of what's going on right now.
Wow,
people don't match it together, but it's the same thing. There was fast fashion back then. People thinking fast fashion is something new, but it really isn't. But anyway, so like
fast fashion, what's that? What's the definition?
Fast fashion is like, you know, being able to like see someone on the runway and put on in the stores within 4 weeks. Oh. So that's what Zara does at an enormous pace and do a great job at it. You know, because of their supply chain and the way they set up. They have thousands of designers, and they have an ecosystem of many manufacturers. So they'll watch what's going on at the Paris fashion shows, the Milan fashion shows, New York Fashion Week, and as soon as they see it, the designers will interpret it, and they'll put it in the stores. That's why if you notice, if you go into a Zara store, they always have the latest fashion.
Right, they do.
Quick. So, and they're completely vertical, so they can make their own fabrics. So what they do is called proximity sourcing. They'll source a fabric and they'll dedicate themselves to it at that moment for that season, and they'll develop that fabric over that season, and they'll put them in many colors. And so you see a suit that's blue, navy, same fabric.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
So that's that secret sauce that they have in that infrastructure that, you know, I think over time, just like the same thing will happen with Oak Tree and those stores, it starts to wane, you know, and it started to like correct itself because, you know, even what was going on with the ecosystem and people becoming more conscious of what's happening with fashion after you dispose it.
Oh, okay.
It has to have a balance at some point. So it's gonna balance itself out.
Okay.
But the Italy thing came in as I'm in Oak Tree, working in that environment, and I'm watching everything. We had this really big meeting one time with the head of sales. He came in from St. Louis, and he was asking us, you know, we had this big management meeting, and it was like, you know, if anybody got any ideas, you know, on fashion, you know, just let us know. And we, you know, if it's good, we implement it. So this was during the time when Carl at Cross Colors, when they, you know, this was like the first social movement for black designers.
Wow.
When you saw Cross Colors and you saw suede wash, because it was a new fabric, you know, like it was a feeling for black people that it was a time for us to like really step into something and embrace it.
Now I saw that now with the Cross Color era. I know in Living Color A lot of the dancers had it on. They was pushing the line. Did they decide to go that way just to try
No,
to?
no, no, no. Their consciousness. It was a conscious movement. So if you even look at the colors of the first cross-color stuff, it was all based upon African
Yeah, I had
principles.
a symbol. I had an African symbol on.
Yeah, it was all African principles.
Big
Like
old
so,
African,
it was introduced in
the whole
America.
continent.
Yeah, it was introduced in America to like African sensibilities.
Right.
Because you gotta think this is the '80s. We were like hip hop was just starting to like become known as hip hop. Yeah. It wasn't hip hop yet. And it wasn't mainstream accepted. Think about that, right?
Yeah, it was underground.
Right. So like when you listen to the radio, it was more pop music.
Right.
Right. And Michael Jackson and the softer side of black people. Right. But as black men, we will listen to real black music. Right. So then we needed brands to represent black culture. Right. So then you had cross colors popped off.
Right.
But it didn't pop off in mainstream stores. Think about that. This is before networks, social networks.
Yeah.
How did they become socially relevant? Through content.
Which
MTV, Living Color.
Yeah.
So they had to create their own content.
Oh, okay.
Think about how hard that had to be.
Yeah, that's
what I'm
real
saying?
hard.
And to do $25 million and $30 million as a black brand making everything in LA. That had to be hard.
Yeah, that's real hard.
Right?
Bro.
So that twisted my mind. So when we had this meeting, and then Carl popped off in New York with Carl Kanai. So then merry-go-round started to carry Carl Kanai.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
So then that was a big deal for black people to be going to a store and support a black designer. You know what I'm saying? And these were considered black designers, real names on it. This wasn't like Rockaware backed by, you know what I'm saying, a label. This was Carl Kanai.
His name, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think we can get to that later, but I think that's why it has more legacy. You know what I'm saying, and longevity. That's why Carl can go across a lot of platforms in different countries and open stores and do things
because of that name.
He's recognized as a designer.
Okay.
That happens to be black.
Oh, okay.
Versus being, a celebrity that put out a black brand.
Okay.
So I think that's what like that the window we was in when we were building all these companies. What we kind of like dropped the ball a little bit in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? We had a kind of ubiquitous viewpoint of it.
What you mean?
Like it was very vague on how we looked at the future of it.
Yeah, I noticed that. I mean, it was just going, and they was living for the moment or the present.
Everybody was, you know what I'm saying? And now you get the older people who were in it and they lack apathy. So you start off being vague and now you lack the...
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That thing
forward,
that you being apathetic to like what's happening now in this new generation. With the Virgils and the Herons and all these new brands, and you don't really feel like it's a part of who you are, but it really is. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just an extension. You know what I'm saying? Because being in Italy, so leaving there, I researched schools, and I researched schools in Atlanta, and at the time there was only 2 schools here. It was Barter. And then there was an art institute. And after I researched them, I'm like, man, they ripping people off. You know what I'm saying? Like they getting these kids in here and like herds of kids, but the kids are not leaving with anything tangible. They can really go start a business. Because I was already in a businessman mode at this point. You know what I'm saying? So like I was in the crosshairs of trying to figure out what's next for black culture and what's next for like this movement with hip hop, and who's gonna be like at the forefront of like defining this moment. You know what I'm saying? So I found this small school in Italy on this island called La Maddalena, and we went there. You know what I'm saying? I applied to school, got accepted, and I went and I studied for 3 years, man, and like under some great tailors. You know what I'm saying? And great sewers and great vision think people thought like outside of the way America thought. You know what I'm saying? And that really transitioned my whole life. So that's kind of where it started. So it started at retail. So even if you notice now, when I build collections, I build them from retail backwards.
Okay, well, well, I want to get into some more of that Italy. We're gonna take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're gonna finish discussing that because I really got some questions to ask you about Italy. We'll be right back after these messages. You watching Access Style. Welcome back to Access Styles, where I'm talking to Cedric King, and we're going to discuss his book. But right now, we're going to continue talking about what we was talking about with him being in Italy and his career in the fashion game.
Okay.
All right, so continue what you were saying.
So I want to just hit on a couple of points about the difference between luxury brands, because I know there's a lot of stuff going on right now with people talking about streetwear and luxury, and how they feel like it's merging. But I would just argue it always merged. They've always stolen from us. You know what I'm saying? Like our ideas in America and black kids.
Yes.
So I feel like what they're doing now is like they just like appropriating it. So they put Virgil in place, and because it's always been black designers. That's been in Paris and Italy.
Why is it so hard to bust through the gate? I mean,
well, they have luxury brands have a legacy relationship with our brain. So when you wear a Gucci, you feel like you're wearing something that means something.
So it's like mental.
It's
mental.
It's a luxury. Think about it. It's a relationship with your brain. So when you're wearing a luxury brand, you feel better than you normally feel that day. Right? Think about it, because we are aspirational people as black people, right? But we're the most creative people on the planet.
Right.
So why do we give them more credit than we give ourselves for being the best? So
we are fashion. It comes from us.
Not just art, music, entertainment. Why everybody's flocking to Atlanta right now for music and culture? Why are we on the forefront of being everybody's like thumbprint on culture? Right? Just so, and then what you're gonna see next is the art renaissance in Atlanta. It's a great artist here too.
Yeah, it
right?
is.
So
yeah.
so then, but we already know it.
Yeah,
the dude who did the cover for my book, Travis Love, he's an artist. Travis, I put him on the back of the book because I wanted people to know. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like he drew that. He drew the character Benji. And
okay.
Yeah,
he drew his
I gave him a name. We named him and did everything. Like we sat down as a collective and we built the character. You know what I'm saying? But like there is so much talent here, and as black people, we don't like talent on any phase of it. You know what I'm saying? So I think sometimes when you look at a Louis Vuitton or Balenciaga and you roll into your screen on Instagram, you're believing all the truths, and you're leaving your black story out.
The only thing I have, I understand that, those lines, I guess those are the lines I was saying in the introduction that have no expiration date on the shelf life, as far as polo and,
but you know why though? When we built a few billion-dollar industry from the time we built from cross colors all the way to the last brand you can imagine, right? You got Pele Pele up there, you got all the brands, right? That black people really embrace. But as consumers of black fashion, we always put a 10-year window on what we're able to do. But we'll give them the autonomy to do anything they want to do.
Yeah, it's for sure improving.
And it's not even that great every year.
No, it's not. It's real
But
simple.
we'll give that to them. We'll just give it to them. You know what I'm saying? I think, and that's the problem. That's when the problem starts to come in. It's like, at what point do we create a commodity when it comes to fashion and black designers? Well, we appreciate the black designer more than we appreciate the clothing, so we'll give them the autonomy to keep building.
I think that's what you're doing with this book, right?
Yeah,
the fashion hustle.
Yeah. Well, I'm starting with young. I did an untraditional route to launch the book,
that's
right?
What I was about to lead into the next question. When you launch your book, why did you use unconventional means? Like, why did you launch it through a high school instead of going any other ways?
Yeah, you know, like I'm in Atlanta, man. Like this is a city of like parties and events. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want to be at the next event and next party. So I said, man, like I know everybody. I know I could do a party and have everybody show up. I've helped T.I. start his line of Cool. I've helped Ryan Kenny when we started Ryan Kenny.
Ryan Kenny.
You know, we was the first black luxury brand.
Yeah, the bun downs.
So we shifted culture with that. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's wearing throwback jerseys, and we made people wear button ups overnight. Right?
So why is that though? I mean, it's like I don't mean to say it like this, but we ain't no guinea pigs for fashion, is we?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what? Because it seemed like.
Well, what's going to happen is this is just one man's point of view. I think what they're doing with Virgil is an experiment with Louis Vuitton. You know, because luxury brands are hurting because they're seeing what's going on in streetwear.
But then also, I'm gonna let you continue. I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm disturbed because Prada had a 3-foot monkey. With some red lips, and they was putting it in displays in New York. And Gucci got the full jogger. Imagine my lips in that joint. Just bow. I mean, the full whole head. I mean, what is this? Is that? These are the polo. These are Gucci. This is Gucci.
Yeah, but see.
I mean, they don't have no respect for us. I mean,
you talking
but
about
we still love it though. Your boy Floyd was like, I don't care. I'm going to Gucci.
It goes back to what I said. They have a legacy relationship with your brain. See, like for most people who've never worn those brands, when you finally get enough money to buy them, you feel like you should be buying them versus buying your own culture brand. So let me ask you this. So like, if you look at what's going on in black culture, and you ask yourself, what brands would I support right now? Would it be Virgil with Off-White? Would I support Heron? You know what I'm saying? Would I support Jaquan Smith? If I'm a young lady, I'm looking for a dress. Like, what black designers would you, Pierre Moss, Stravas Row with Jason Jeter? Like, what brands would you support, right? So then, like, if you don't, a black consumer who don't really understand, like, what's really going on, and they don't see any black brands that they support, even the cool, right? If you don't see anything that you really like, this narrative that fits your narrative,
your fashion, your style,
what are you gonna support? So then you get now.
So then you go back to the Gucci,
now you are making $100,000 a year, right? So just map that out. You're doing bring home maybe $8,000, $7,000 a month, right? Your bills are maybe $2,500. Now you got all this leftover money to really just like spend. You can go buy some Balenciagas because you see it on the ground. You can go buy, you feel me? So like where you start to be conditioned to like that makes more sense to me. You're not even looking or searching to support a African American company.
Right. You just going with the fads.
When we started, there were so many of us.
Yeah.
That's Mecca and Nietzsche. Yeah. So you had a lot of things to choose from.
Yeah.
That you could support. So I think we have to do a better job of giving black people brands that they could support. So I don't blame this all on luxury. I kind of blame it on like, you know, people from my era. You know what I'm saying? Like when we built all these brands, you know what I'm saying, and we got tired just like when the record industry started declining.
I was just about to say that with the independent labels, it was so many independent labels. You know,
when they start
leaving.
Yeah.
So I noticed the same thing with the clothing lines. There was so many clothing lines.
Yeah.
Then they start, you know, narrowing down.
Yeah.
So, you know,
we can't keep pointing the finger. We got to make a solution. So I think the solution is to do a better research better on the brands that are black owned and do a better job of supporting them. But as black designers, we got to get out there on the forefront of like really like, you know, creating an opportunity for people to like see us in the right way and give them opportunity like really support us.
Okay. How do you view social media with fashion brands? Like as what you was just saying, how would you incorporate
I just think
what they doing with social media right now?
I think social media is broken. I think like it's getting to a point where you know, like if you're creating social currency online, it has to become a utility at some point, right? And what I mean by that is like it needs to be a new network where it's a social utility versus a network. I mean, like so.
What do you mean by social utility?
All right, so when they started networks, like all of the platforms were built for you to engage with your friends, family, and people like that. It was never meant for you to go on there and say, I trust this person to tell me where to go shop or what's the next thing to buy. So what people do now is they go online and they search through Google and all these other platforms, or they may go to YouTube for influencers to tell them this is the latest thing to buy. So imagine a utility where it's an ecosystem of people of like minds, like me, you, and a few other people, guiding them in the right direction. So now it's more of a utility versus a network.
Okay.
You can network with your sisters and brothers and cousins, but you come to this platform only to like talk about, yo, where I get the latest shirt? Where I get the latest book? How do I know who the dope African American designers are? It's more of a utility versus a network. So that's my
okay.
Yeah, my
now. Why after 10 years did you decide to launch a book to get into the game?
Man, that's a good question because I came with this idea for Paris Polo Crew inside of a whim. One day I was sitting there, I was just thinking, I was like, man, like I want to do something that's kind of a hybrid. I was traveling a lot, and last year I ended up going to Bahrain with one of my clients. And she wanted to really source like dresses and things like that. So we went over there because the fabric was a lot cheaper, the labor's cheaper and all that. So we traveled, and when I got there, it reminded me of when I first started being in Italy in the fashion business because it came full circle. I meet these twins who own the shop, and he met me and our energy was like connected. He told her he'll have her stuff in 2 days. He told me, come back tomorrow.
Oh.
I said, I want these 3 suits. I want these 5 shirts. He's like, I'll have all this tomorrow. I was like, you serious tomorrow? He's like, yeah.
How?
I came back tomorrow, all my suits is done.
How? What?
Because they own their own factories. And then,
okay,
see, we don't have that grind no more. And like here, these people are grinding all the time. Their life is the grind. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's the part of like that's missing like from kind of how we grew up to like what's going on a little bit now. I think the next generation, my youngest daughter is 16, so they kind of like have our mentality.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like they don't mind working.
Go getter.
They don't mind. They don't like even though they may feel like they can get the new car at 16. It don't really mean like that. What it means like for the generation before them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So that's kind of like where I kind of like got into like that whole like I want to.
Now you had mentioned that the guy had a factory.
Yeah.
Now, did you start investing in factories or?
Yeah. So when I met them, when I was in Bahrain, I was looking at everything that was going on. Bahrain's about to be as big as Dubai. It's right there close together.
Right.
So I flew into Dubai, then I flew into Bahrain. So I saw Dubai. Oh, this is crazy. This built us out of nowhere. And then I get to Bahrain, they building it out of nowhere. Like, so I was like, yo, I need to be a part of this.
Yeah.
I'm in the malls. I'm looking at what's going on. I see how much money's over there. That money's more valuable than the dollar. I'm like, nah, man. Like, I got to get in on this, whatever this ecosystem is, And over there, you cannot become a partner or you can't own anything as an American unless you have a sponsorship. So
you got to be sponsored.
You got to be sponsored. So I did a deal with them. I did a deal with the twins and their family, and I partnered with their company. I got back my lawyers. We worked it out, and now I'm a part owner of that factory. And before, it's the funny thing about it, how life works. Like, so before I went, I had got some interest from a factory out of Mauritius, like in East Africa. It's a small island. It's like a vacation island.
Wow, you got international. This is international.
Yeah. So then I once I learned how to do that deal, then I just did that deal. Okay. I partnered with him, and I just finished up a partnership with a factory in Singapore.
How do you feel those that you're invested in a factory? How can it benefit the student that's reading this book? How can it benefit the cat that just want to start his own line, that don't really know the game? But he's selling shirts online.
Yeah, it's like I look at it like the record business. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know. All right, so this is sidebar, but kind of same thing. When you make a lot of money doing fashion or anything as an entrepreneur, you begin to like figure out like, man, I'm spending a lot of money on my personal growth in my personal life, but I'm not giving anything back. I've been doing this a long time, just like, we've been doing this a long time, right? And so I said to myself, man, I'm working with these kids on a day-to-day basis. In these schools, I don't create curriculums. This book is actually a curriculum in the schools. We're working on right now is creating a learning track for the kids, so they can start from 8th grade all the way to 12th to become fashion designers.
How can they contact you? Do you have a way that they can?
Yeah. So you get them on my website, www.fashionhustle.com. And my email is cedric@thefashionhustle.com, CEDRSC, no K, .com. Yeah, but, so that's why I really did it. Because I'm talking to these kids all the time, and last year, and I'm saying to myself, like, I want to get them opportunities. I want to be able to get scholarships, and I want to be able to get deals. Now, get a record deal?
Yeah.
You're like, it's $1 million deal. I want to get deals out. Let's get some deals for the fashion. Because we don't own shit. We don't own factories, man. Let's get some deals out, man.
Factories.
So my goal is to own 100, like have ownership in 100 factories. You know what I'm saying? By the end of like 2020. So, we're working hard at that.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. When you're watching Access Styles, we're going to take a break. We'll be back after these messages. Hi, and we're back, and we're talking with Cedric about the Fashion Hustle, his book that he has out. And then we're having a good interview. Cedric, I'm really enjoying you coming in here, man. I really appreciate you taking out your time to come to the show. My last question, I guess, is where do you see fashion? Where do you see urban fashion going? Where do you, if they didn't have your book, thank God they got your book. Yeah. Because with your book, we can see more black people owning more clothing lines. But where do you see the fashion industry?
I think, man, like with because it's become so democratized, like it's not political as it used to be. Like and it's commoditized. Streetwear has been commoditized. Like everybody can do anything from their own house. I think like
I don't like that though.
As a capitalist, I enjoy it. You know why? Because I think it gives more voices to have like an imprint. You know what I'm saying? So I think the more you have, the better the product's gonna end up being. So for people like me and you, so to reframe what you just said, think about it like this: the more you see people creating, it's gonna spawn something different in you.
Right.
That's why I like the youth. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're in these schools and you see these kids have so many ideas and no way to get them out, it makes me more excited.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So like I don't care. So I encourage them to have a vinyl cutter or learn how to screen print. And do it on their own and put a few things out. Because it breeds more opportunity. And innovation doesn't have a favorite fan or a favorite person. Right. Innovation just want to be innovation.
That's right.
You just got to innovate. You know what I'm saying? You got to create something that hasn't been created. You know what I'm saying? So like to me, I see for black people, and I'm not talking about for at large. I'm like for black youth and for black people, I see an upside.
Okay, that's what I see too. Yeah. Okay, so talk to the camera. Look in the camera. Tell them once again how to contact you, how to get in touch with you. So they can be a part of this good thing.
Yeah, man. So reach me at The Fashion Hustle, www.thefashionhustle.com. That's the platform. We're redoing the website right now to be more inclusive to like what we're doing without building the ecosystem with factories. But other than that, like you can reach me on Instagram, the fashion_hustle.com. Somebody took my name before I can get it. And on Facebook, The Fashion Hustle. So I'm The Fashion Hustle everywhere. Or email me, Cedric@thefashionhustle.com. And I respond to all emails and texts and DMs and everything. So.
All right, thank you, Cedric.
Nah, man, I love you, bro.
Thanks for coming, man.
Nah, I love you, man.
All right, y'all. That's Cedric. Y'all heard it from one of the best in the game. Thank you for watching Access Styles. We'll be back after these messages. You've been watching Access Styles. We had a fantastic interview with Cedric for his book, The Fashion Hustle. And make sure you catch the next episode of Access Styles podcast. You can subscribe to Access Styles on YouTube. Also, you can go to Instagram, to the Access Styles channel, and like and view all the videos that we have up there. We're going to keep pushing on. Thank you for watching Access Styles, and see you next week.